بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين وأصحابه الغر الميامين الحمد لله الذي جعلنا من المتمسكين بولاء سيدي ومولاي علي بن أبي طالب اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله Amma ba'd, assalamu alaikum and welcome to Future Stars live on Hidayat TV. I'm your host Hassan Shah, and today we are going to be talking about a really important subject, which is hijab. And just before we continue, we've got our same guest as always that we always have, Misbah, Mohsin and Hussein. So assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
How are you doing today? Today we're talking about a really important subject, aren't we?
Yes.
Yes, it's really important. Hijab. Yeah. So what might be perceived in the world nowadays, and especially where we're living today, England, in the UK, yeah. How might people like non-Muslims, other people living around us, how might they feel and think about hijab?
They might feel uncomfortable about it.
Yeah, maybe some might feel uncomfortable about it. What about you, Misbah?
Annoyed, like why do they have to wear it?
Yeah, that's a really important question as well. And Hussein?
Some of them don't mind at all, they don't care.
Huh?
Some of them don't mind at all, they don't care.
Yeah, some of them don't mind at all and they don't really have an issue about it or anything like that. Or some might actually, as a point where I've even heard myself, some people have heard that when someone walks in with a hijab, they get scared. You know, with things going around in nowadays, yeah. And these things, inshallah, we'll talk about in today's show, yeah. And we're going to be talking a little bit about what is hijab, why we wear hijab, yeah, and so a few other side points as well, yeah, that we'll be talking on today's show, yeah, and what the actually Quran says about hijab as well, yeah. So Misbah, you as yourself, you wear hijab as well, yeah. Why might you think that you wear the hijab?
Because as like I wear it.
You're a bit struggling, innit? Because I'll put her on the spot there. But how do you? I'm trying to give you some help here. How do you feel wearing the hijab? How do you feel other people think of you when you wear the hijab? Some things like that. And why do you think Allah Subhanahu wa Taala has told you to wear the hijab?
I would think other people would feel like they would feel like shock, some people.
Yeah, some people, and some people might not know why you wear it even, yeah.
And some people might not see a reason for me to wear it.
Yeah, that's a really important point. So, Misbah, has anyone actually come up to you and asked why do you actually wear the hijab?
Not really.
Yeah, not really, because where actually we live, yeah, there's not quite a lot of people that would actually come up and question about it. But say if you would go to town or some other places like that, when there's some other people that does not see it on a regular basis, yeah, or you go to other areas where there's not actually a majority of Muslims in that area, yeah, they've only seen it a couple of times, and some people have been asked why they actually wear the hijab, yeah. So we'll get into talking about these things actually. So what each of you, what do you think the hijab actually is? Not why you wear it, what do you think it is? What the hijab is? Mohsin, what do you think it is?
Is it
you can say anything.
Is it something like to
Where? Is that what you're going to say?
Like to cover your body.
Yeah, cover your body. Hussein, what do you think hijab is?
It's something a woman would wear to cover their beauty.
Yeah, so he has said a key word there. Yeah, and Mohsin, you've talked about something that what it was. Mohsin said something to that you cover yourself with.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you said for a woman, he mentioned woman there, didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're gonna be getting onto some of these misconceptions, yeah, about women. And Mohsin, you actually you said a word, wear, didn't you? Yes, something that you cover and used to wear, and we'll be talking about that as well. Yeah. So just Hussein, I think you've got the first thing. So if you can pick that up and open it up, and we'll start with the first thing. Okay. So just before he goes on to that, so Mohsin, you mentioned a keyword wear, yeah, and Hussein mentioned a keyword woman, yeah. Misbah, what do you think hijab is? Not why you wear it, not any of these other side things. What hijab is in itself?
Like a sign of like.
Yeah, you
like
get respect or something. Yeah, to give someone a respect, something like that. Yeah. So Misbah, actually, I see where she's coming from there, and that's kind of close to what actually we'll be talking about. So saying you've got the first thing, so can we start saying off with the last salawat? Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajahum.
It is commanded in the Holy Quran, and say to the believing women that they cast down their looks and guard their private parts and do not display their ornaments except what is obvious thereof, and let them wear their head coverings over their bosoms, and do not display their ornaments except to their husband or to their fathers, or the father of their husbands, or the sons of their husbands, or their brothers' sons, or their sisters' sons, or their women, or those whom their right hand possesses, or the male servants not having need of want, or the children who have not attained knowledge of what is hidden of women. Salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajahum. Thank you, Sayyid. So Sayyid mentioned a verse there from the Holy Quran talking about hijab there as well. Just some bits like the laws of hijab as well, who you can not, who you don't need to wear hijab in front of and stuff like that. But actually before that verse, yeah, instead of talking to women, yeah, actually says oh, tell the believing men. So instead of going to women, yeah, so even before that verse, so just before that verse, it doesn't say women, he says kullil mu'minina, yeah, mu'minin, that I'm saying because I'm stopping there, yeah. So it says tell the believing men, yeah, so it talks about the believing men before the women, yeah. And this is chapter 24 of the Quran, which I think myself is one of the most chapters where it talks about stuff like hijab and stuff like this, yeah. So actually before it addresses the women, actually it talks to the men. So Hussein, what do you think, why do you think it addresses men? Do men have a role in this kind of hijab, in this hijab concept? Do you think?
Yeah, kinda.
How?
Like,
because you said before it's what women have, yeah, and actually Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, before addressing the women, he addresses the men, yeah. So through this we can say hijab is for both of us, can't we? Yeah. And Mohsin, you also said something that you wear as well, but we'll be getting onto that. The thing that that women actually wear on the head, yeah, the headscarf, yeah. If you go to the Quran, yeah, the thing that it talks about the headscarf, not it doesn't use the word hijab for when it talks about headscarf, because Mohsin, you use the key word there, wear, Yeah, and we're going to be talking about the actual hijab. But first of all, we're going to the headscarf because you said where, didn't you, Mohsin?
Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala addresses it in the Quran says when he talks about headscarf, khamar, yeah, when he's talking about the headscarf, yeah. And actually in some kind of things, they actually before Islam, they also some women actually used to have this khamar on as well, yeah. So the actual head, to cover the head and the hair, is khamar, yeah, when it talks about that in the Quran. So when you look in the Quran, when you're looking just for the headscarf, yeah, the thing that covers your hair and your head, that's khamar, yeah. But why does it Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when he talks about the headscarf, why doesn't he use the word hijab?
Because hijab is not only for the headscarf, innit?
Yeah, that's a really important point. Because hijab, many people in the world today would think hijab is only about the headscarf that women wear. Yeah. But also what we can tell is that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about the headscarf, yeah, he uses the word khamar, yeah, and also addressing the point that Hussein said about women, yeah, that also Allah before addresses the women, he addresses the men. So we know that it's hijab includes this khamar that the women wear, but also other things, aspects as well, which we'll talk about, and also this hijab has to be applied by men as well. Yeah. So Misbah, you've got the next one. So can start Misbah the last salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajahum.
Manners of dressing. According to Islamic law, Sharia, the woman's entire body is her aurat or her private area, which must be covered except for her face and hands. Hijab must be observed in front of all non-mahram males, that is, all males with whom a woman would be permitted to marry according to Islamic law. Salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajahum. Thank you, Misbah. So Misbah there talked about hijab and talked about the what is allowed to be seen. What did you mention there? What is allowed to be seen?
That it must be only, I think, allowed to see with non-mahram.
Yeah, and what was actually, I mean, like when you're wearing this hijab and when you have this hijab, yeah, what is allowed to be shown?
The face and hands.
Face and hands, yeah, because Imam Sadiq, Imam Jafar Sadiq, there's one of the hadiths from him, and because other people around today, I'll get back onto what Imam Sadiq said, yeah. So they have this kind of what's it called when they actually wear the full the thing where it covers the face, some people call it the niqab, the burqa, some things like that, yeah. And actually covering the face, it covers the hand, so it covers the whole body, yeah. And Imam Jafar Sadiq, he actually himself, a hijab, yeah, is when you cover your talking about the covering aspect of hijab, yeah, when you cover yourself and you're allowed to show your hands and your face. So these are the features that are allowed to be shown, your hands and your face, yeah. But also you can also apply like you can also cover your face and stuff like that. But what the hijab that you can wear is the one with that shows your hand and shows your face as well, yeah. So it's not wajib, it's not like you have to wear the one where it covers your hand, it covers your face, all of this, but you are allowed to wear it, yeah, as well, yeah. So what we established already, that this headscarf, yeah, khamar, that is addressed in the Quran, is not the only part of hijab, is it? No, because there's other aspects of hijab as well, yeah. The way you act, so your akhlaq, that comes into this hijab. So the hijab, so the khamar is just the headscarf and the thing that you wear, yeah. But the akhlaq in this kind of aspect, that's hijab, is the whole package, yeah, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So So, Misbah, how do you say the akhlaq? How do you explain it to other people?
That it's the good manners.
Yeah, manners and the way you act, your behavior, things like this. Yeah. So this hijab that people have, that also needs to be the way you act. Also, you can't be this kind of really bad person. Yeah. So when you wear this hijab, yeah, you have to also have this aspect of this other things that like kind of social hijab, yeah, which you also need to have while actually you're wearing this hijab as well, yeah. So the way you act and how also could you talk about this social hijab we're saying. So what other things? So the way you act, what else?
The way you behave, the way you
Speak.
Yeah, the way you
Yeah.
speak, the way you talk, the way you are around others. all
Yeah,
that kind of stuff.
these are just some other things, and you could talk about loads of other things as well that come into this aspect of hijab. Yeah. So so this hijab, as we know now, is also the covering of someone's body, and also the kind of the way you act. Yeah. And these things need to be kind of employed. Yeah. So when we talk about hijab, we're not only talking about what you actually physically wear. What are we talking about, Mohsin, when we say hijab?
We talk about what you like.
Your actions, the way you act, and also including what you wear as well. Yeah. So this is a really important thing, and these are really important things. So the way you act and what you actually wear as well. So Mohsin, you've got the next thing, so can start. Mohsin, off the last salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali
Muhammad wa jafar.
A woman's scarf, the scarf or head covering, should frame the face in such a manner that it covers all of the hair, neck and ears. No dangling earrings should be seen. Salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajahum. So thank you, Hussein. So Mohsin, yeah. Alright, so we've gone over this aspect of hijab and what it includes, yeah. So what might be the issues around hijab that people at home might face and people around the world might face, yeah. So what could aspects of living in a society like where we are today in England, in Birmingham, yeah. Actually, when we think about Birmingham, it's actually so much of a multicultural place, isn't it? Isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's such of this mixture of so many different cultures and religions that if you walk around in hijab or you walk around in your own like kind of your cultural clothes, yeah, not a lot of people will kind of hasn't seen it before, have they? Yeah, because it's such of a multicultural place, Birmingham especially, yeah. But around the world, yeah, what might these people, the people who wear hijab, yeah, and the people who now we're talking about the physical clothing, what kind of problems will they face? What do you think? What kind of problems would they face?
Attacks, bullying.
Yeah, bullying, attacks. You mentioned, huh?
Verbal attacks.
Verbal attacks.
Verbal abuse.
Verbal abuse. Yeah, kind of verbal attack and verbal abuse. Yeah, those are they're like the same thing, aren't they? Yeah.
Basically, just prejudice.
Yeah, prejudice, discrimination because of what they're wearing. Yeah, because you go to you go look around the world, yeah, and especially in Western countries, stuff like some areas, yeah, and in other countries as well, yeah, especially some other countries when it actually has banned the hijab, yeah, in workplaces and stuff like that. that this hijab has seen as not a good thing, is it? Yeah, the physical thing that we wear. So to the people having faced the problems, how could you think, as a child living in Birmingham, England, how do you think you could what could they do? So this is a really big task, isn't it?
What can who do?
The people in some other areas that might actually face discrimination because they're wearing hijab. So what do you think? So people are facing discrimination because of this, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, and people like most of you said, verbal abuse, things like this are happening on a daily basis for people who wear this hijab. Yeah, and how saying?
I think.
These things are happening, yeah, and why do we need to talk about hijab? Why do we actually need to talk about this? Because the main thing that actually brought up hijab today, and we're talking about hijab today, is because of the things like this discrimination that's happening against women who are wearing the physical hijab. You're saying?
People target like the hijab and stuff because they think that the women who wear the hijabs are being forced to wear them, and that by the men for like their husband or something like that, like their father or something, they feel like they like people think that they're being forced to wear them, and then people talk about hijab and tell them the true meaning of why people wear hijab to show that it's nobody's forcing them to wear them, it's their own choice, and to show that it's nothing against anybody else. The only reason people wear it is to show modesty and to show to not to show their beauty.
Yeah, Hussein mentioned a really important point. And if you go to if you talk about other religions, where can you see the aspect of hijab in other religions? So think about Christianity now. Yeah, how can you see the aspect of hijab there? Think about, I'm gonna give you some clues. Think about church. A word beginning with N. Can any of you know? Or even you look at some of the figures in Christianity as well. So whenever you see a picture of Mary, who's Mary? Who's Mary?
The mother of Jesus.
Yeah, the mother of Isa alayhi salam. Yeah, whenever you see a picture of Mary in the Christian faith, in Catholicism, yeah, whenever you see a picture of Mary, what's she wearing?
A hijab.
Yeah, a hijab, isn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah, you see a picture of Mary, she is wearing a hijab. So if you saw Mary today walking on the street, what do you think she was?
Muslim.
A Muslim? Yeah. You would think Mary, if she saw her walking on the street today, people would look at this woman and say, yeah, she's a Muslim.
She's a Muslim.
Because what she's wearing, yeah? So before we go, we've got a caller online. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum, Ya Ali Madad.
Wa alaikum assalam. How are you?
I'm Hira Batul and Alhamdulillah, I'm Hira Batul and I would like to share some information about hijab from the Holy Quran.
Okay, Bismillah.
In chapter 33, known as Al-Ahzab, verse 59, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives the following commandment to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها النبي قل لأزواجك وبناتك ونساء المؤمنين يدنين عليهن من جلابيبهن ذلك أدنى أن يعرفن فلا يؤذين وَكَانَ اللَّهُ غَفُورًا رَحِيمًا. O Prophet, say to your wives, your daughters and the women of the believers that they should let down upon themselves their jilbab. This is more proper so that they may be recognized and not molested. Allah is forgiving and merciful. Jalabib is the plural of jilbab, which means a loose outer garment. اللهم صل
صل
على
على
محمد
محمد وآل محمد
وآله. Thank you. Allah Hafiz.
Udafis. Wassalamu alaikum. So thank you for that. And she talked about a little bit, so the jalbab, yeah, and that's the thing that we were gonna get onto. So thank you for that. And we're gonna be getting onto that on today's show, inshallah. So what we talked about just before, there was about problems being faced to people who wear this hijab, yeah. And Hussein, we talked about Hussein mentioning a really important point, yeah, about these things. And what we talk about, if we saw Mary today on the streets, we'd think she's a Muslim, yeah. And also when we see nuns, yeah, what are they doing?
None.
Yeah. So now you get that's the word that I said. Churches and N, yeah. So nuns. That's what I was trying to get to you a clue there. So nuns, what are they wearing today?
Hijab.
Yeah, hijab. They're basically, what are they wearing? A hijab, aren't they? Yeah. They're covering their face. They have a loose garment. They have a julbab. Yeah. They have this on. Yeah. So so if we think about this, that there's other aspects, and when you actually see a nun, yeah, they actually think, oh, she's a modest woman, she's pious. When you see when other people would see a nun, they think, oh, she's a pious lady, she's modest, yeah, she's in obedience to God, yeah. That's what people think. But if you see a woman with hijab, she's this, she's that, she's a terrorist. All these other things, accusations will be thrown, wouldn't it? Because of things that are going on in today's world, yeah? So this is why people need to be educated about the hijab, that is a symbol, like Hussein said, people would think, oh, they're forced to wear, and all these things are like that, yeah? When it's actually a symbol of modesty, a symbol of purity, isn't it? Yeah? Like Misbah said, a way to get respected, isn't it? Yeah. So these are many important things, yeah, that we need to know. So we're saying you've got the next thing, so can we start with saying after the last salawat? Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala
Muhammad wajifujum. Hijab as a way of life. Hijab comes from the Arabic root letters
Hajaba.
Hajaba, which literally means to veil, cover or shelter. It is not only to cover one's body with clothing, but it is also to veil one's eyes from unlawful glances and one's mouth and ears from indecencies. Hijab, in fact, is to behave in a reserved way. Projecting oneself in a flaunting manner contradicts the concept of hijab. Modesty should be reflected in the way one carries oneself. The Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, has stated, modesty is the faith which entitles oneself to heaven. So what?
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa ajil farajahum. So thank you, Hussein, for that. So Hussein mentioned a really good thing about this, what the Holy Prophet has said. And what did he say, Hussein?
Modesty is oneself's way to heaven.
Yeah. So if we keep ourselves, so modesty, what does that include? When we talked about on today's show, what does that include?
Manner, behavior, the way you speak.
The way you speak and all these other things. So hijab is not just the headscarf, yeah? And what was the word that I used for headscarf? Jalbab as well, and the headscarf as well, which I talked about. But it's less. You're close here, but let's see at the end of the show if you have that word. Yeah. So think about it. Remember. Yeah. So we found out that hijab. Yeah. This hijab is not only the headscarf. It's not only the jalbab that the women wear. Yeah. It's not only the kind of clothes that men wear as well to cover their body as well. It's not only that. It's all these aspects of the headscarf, the jalbab, the clothes men wear to cover themselves. Included with akhlaq. All of this is what? All of this is what?
The way people
Hijab.
present themselves.
Hijab. What do you say again?
The way people present themselves.
Yeah, the way people present themselves. That's also another aspect of it. Yeah, all of this. And Misbah, I'm gonna ask you now because you wanted to say something, didn't you? So when there's kind of when you see someone, and when you think to personalities in the history of Islam, yeah, there's a few personalities that come up when you think about hijab, isn't there? Yeah. So Bibi Fatima and who are you going to be talking about today?
Bibi Zainab.
Bibi Zainab, yeah. So why did you pick Bibi Zainab?
On Monday the 22nd of January was her Wuladat.
Yeah, it was her birthday here, her Wuladat. And so when you think about her and all the hardships that she went through, but what did she throughout all these hardships, she's had all these hardships, but what did she have?
Hijab.
Hijab. So throughout this whole hardship that she had, she kept her hijab the way it was. Yeah. So Misbah, you're going to be talking about her. So can we start off with the last salawat? Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Junub Zainab was born in Medina on the 1st of Shaban 6 AH. Her father was Hazrat Ali al-Murtaza, the first apostolical imam, and her mother was Junub Fatima Zahra, the beloved and only daughter of our Holy Prophet. On the 7th day after her birth, the Holy Prophet solemnized her Aqiqah, a traditional ritual upon the birth of a child, and named her Zainab. Her epithets were al-Hasan and al-Masahib. Her popular titles were Shariqat al-Hussein, partner of Hussein, Siddiqa-e-Sughra, the minor truthful one, the major truthful one having been Junub Fatima, and Aqila-e-Bani Hashim, wise women of the tribe of Hashim. The Holy Prophet, because of his deep affection, consistently took care of her and brought her up. Unfortunately, when she was only 5 years old, the Holy Prophet expired, and just 2 months later, she lost her mother. Thus, the sole responsibility of her upbringing fell on the shoulders of Hazrat Ali. The knowledge that was imparted to her by the Holy Prophet and Junub Fatima Zahra, and later on by Hazrat Ali, quite naturally resulted in her being gifted with great virtues. Benevolence, sacrifice, truth, courage, and devotion to God became her way of life. She had a commanding knowledge of the Holy Quran and her traditions of the Holy Prophet. Even though she was married at the age of 11 to Hazrat Abdullah, son of Junub Jafar Itayar, the nephew of Hazrat Ali, she continued to remain by her father and kept serving him along with her husband. In fact, when Hazrat Ali decided to make Kufa his headquarters, both she and her husband also moved out to Kufa, enabling her to continue attending to her father. Raziq al-Khairi, a Sunni scholar, writes in his book, Sayyidah Ki Beti, her concern over the domestic economy was so deep that only the necessities of life were kept at home. She did not believe in luxury and avoided all unnecessary expenses. She was most thrifty and prepared food in strict proportions to the consumption. She observed strict discipline and would not eat until all the male members and the children had been served. She had inherited moral and ethical character of her grandfather, the Holy Prophet. She was tremendously courteous and hospitable to the women folk who visited her. Her simplicity in dress and her devotion to social service made her a living example for others to follow. The young girls of the neighborhood frequented her house for learning such discipline, and she taught them without hesitation. The extent of Junub Zainab's devotion to God can be judged through the words of her brother, Imam Hussein, upon leaving her on the day of Ashura. He said, "O my dear sister, forget me not in thy nocturnal prayers." Imam Zain al-Abidin said, "My aunt Zainab was subjected to unmentionable agonies in Karbala, But even under these horrible conditions, she never missed namaz-e-shab, the prayers offered after midnight and before true dawn. The sermons of Janab Zainab bear ample evidence of her tremendous faith and knowledge of the Holy Quran, Ahadith, traditions, fiqh, religious laws, etc. After the martyrdom of Imam Hussein, Janab Zainab and the other women folk in her camp were treated roughly and were almost without shelter. They remained as captives for a week or so in Kufa and were then sent to Damascus. It was during this long journey to Damascus that Janab Zainab began to convey the principles and practices of Islam to the general public and explain the purpose of martyrdom. She, along with Imam Zain al-Abidin, explained to the public that they were Ali Rasul, family of the Messenger, who had the true principles and practices of Islam with them, who were responsible for the spread and safeguard of the message delivered by the Holy Prophet. They also explained to the public that it was for this very reason that Yazid and his army mercilessly killed not only the relatives and followers of Imam Hussein but also the Imam himself. Later on in Damascus, Janab Zainab delivered many historic sermons in the court of Yazid and Ibn Ziyad. She elaborated upon the Islamic deals as taught by the Holy Prophet, and she immortalized the mission of Imam Hussein. An example of her brilliant oratory is given as follows: Praise and glory be to God, and blessings to my grandfather Muhammad Mustafa and on his pure kindred. O Kufis, O deceitful and treacherous ones, do you weep? May your weeping never cease, and may there be no pause in your cries of lamentation. You are to be compared to a woman who spins a thread only to break it later. You have given yourselves by wills and deceit. The only things you know are envy, hatred, flattery and backbiting. You have harmed your souls with such terrible deeds that God is angry and you are doomed to eternal torment. We have fortified your right to laugh, and now there is nothing left for you but to mourn and weep. The stains of your vices are such that you can never wash them away. Do you realize that you have shed the blood of the Holy Prophet's successor, Imam Hussein, the person who could have been your savior? The Imam Hussein, the leader of the youths of paradise, was the one you needed for guidance and towards whom you could have turned in your time of need. The burden of your sins is terrible and will result in your destruction. Your efforts will be brought to nothing and you will suffer the eternal curse of disgrace and humiliation. Woe be to you, O Kufis! Have you ever considered how badly you have hurt and grieved the Holy Prophet? Have you assessed the nobility and purity of him, whose blood you have shed, and have you realized how greatly respected were his kindred, whom you have disrespected? You have, contrary to God's pleasure, subjected us to misery upon misery. Are you surprised that blood poured from the sky? The torments of the hereafter shall be more dreadful, and there shall be none to help you. The narrator relates, By God, I saw the multitude dumbfounded, and all hid their faces in their hands and wept.
Salawat Allahumma salli ala. Thank you, Miss Bat. And she there explained how a person who has went through hardship, that he still kept her hijab, and had this hijab, had this whole thing, not only because you might find actually some people who wear the headscarf, who wear the jalbab and have this hijab and have this modesty, but when you speak to them, how would they speak? Rude, don't have any manners,
Don't have any respect.
Don't have any respect.
They don't care.
They don't care. So on the outside they look like, oh, they're following Allah, they're on the right path, but they don't have this hijab. They only have the physical aspect, but they don't have the hijab, the full hijab, because we need to understand that hijab is not only the physical, but our the way we act and our inside as well, So these are things that are really important to know as well, So thank you for joining me on today's show, And I hope you have learned a lot about hijab. Hope people at home as well have heard have learned a lot about hijab as well. We need to know these kind of aspects, these kind of parts of hijab as well. So we don't only have that physical aspect, we have the inner aspect as well. So we have this akhlaq and we have the hijab as a whole. So thank you for joining me. We'll see you next week, same time, same place, and maybe hopefully continuing about this hijab topic as well, and we possibly maybe making a series out of it, inshallah, talking a little bit in detail about hijab as well. So I'll see you next week, same time, same place on Hidayat TV. But until then, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.